What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of No GPU vs Half-Life 2. The mini-series where we take CPUs with integrated graphics and pit them against one of the all-time classics and one of our most favourite games, Half-Life 2.
The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world.
In today's video we're going to be returning to Team Blue and we're going to see if they can actually take the crown back, so let's get into it. So today's contender is from Intel, and it is a CPU that we bought recently to help us get motherboards up to speed and running because it was pretty cheap. It's an Intel Celeron G6900 and you can roughly get them for about £40, which is actually really cheap compared to what CPUs are at the moment. Now we did do a video with this, which we will link to in the description, where we paired it with an RX 6500 XT just to see how well it could actually game. And it gave us a bit of a surprise because it didn't actually perform too badly. So of course we needed to enter it into this mini-series to see if Team Blue could pull back the crown. The G6900 is a 2-core 2-thread processor sitting on the LGA 1700 socket. It has a base clock speed of 3.4 GHz, and for built-in graphics it's got the Intel UHD 710. Now it's not the most desirable chip at all, particularly for gamers, because it is quite low and I'm not actually 100% sure what they're really designed for. But of course if it does well today, then it might actually give us a bit of an indication. Now we loaded this up into a motherboard and we gave it a bit of a test, so let's take a look at how well it performed. Starting the game in 1080p high settings, we instantly see that the G6900 with its built-in Intel UHD 710 graphics has no issue in running the game. Averaging around 100 frames per second, it's a great experience with no stuttering or anything. In fact, you wouldn't even know that you weren't using a discrete graphics card. Moving through the game a bit, there is a little difference. We've continually maintained a high FPS average with decent 1% lows, and it really does feel though Intel may pull back the crown within our leaderboards. Now this is kind of surprising, while at the same time not. Intel's integrated graphics have always been terrible. We know they can play games like this, but it always came at some form of sacrifice. But not today. Intel have really picked up the game a bit. Before we get too excited though, we do have to remember that we have not yet moved up to the more modern AMD APUs, and we all know how good they are. But for now, we can clearly tell that Intel are progressing, even with this budget range of CPUs. Now the testing we did really did come as a surprise, because this little CPU actually did show that it's got more than enough power to play a game just like Half-Life 2. I could play the game all the way through with this CPU, and for most of the part I probably couldn't even tell that we didn't have a discrete graphics card at all. But obviously that's not the end of our test, because to be able to get onto our leaderboard we need to run it through the Half-Life 2 Lost Coast benchmark. The Lost Coast benchmark is a little bit more demanding than the base game, but for this CPU it didn't seem to matter. The great results that we got when playing the game actually translated through to this benchmark just perfectly fine, where we saw an average FPS of over 120. Now if you've been following this mini-series, you will know that that actually brings this CPU all the way to the top of our leaderboards, so Team Blue do in fact take the crown back. Intel can celebrate for now, and this little chip has done extremely well, so it's much deserved. But we have got something coming up soon, which involves a more modern APU from AMD, one of the ones that are actually on the shelf behind us. We won't get into too many secrets at the moment, but if you want to actually watch that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have a fear that AMD will kick the living snot back out of Intel, because we do have a little bit of an experience with the more modern APUs from AMD. But of course, until we do that testing, Intel will keep and maintain the crown for now. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like these kind of videos. Also, drop us a like so we know to do more, and we'll catch you in the next one.